On this issue of Video Fashion, fashion lands on the city of Antwerp, putting the spotlight on Belgian designers with Mode 2001.
Everybody appreciates everybody, so that's what makes us comfortable to work here in Antwerp.
Go underground and get inspired with AF Van der Vorst. Visit with outspoken Anne de Meulemeester. Set sail with Dries van Noten at his dockside headquarters.
Belgian fashion most of the times is also a little bit inspired on art. We consider fashion really as a passion.
Travel to Brussels and meet young designer Olivier Fayskens.
It's like if all these designers found the keys to not make bad collections.
When you think of Antwerp, Belgium, you may think of it as a port city with a flourishing diamond trade and great Belgian beer. But now Antwerp is emerging as a fashion capital. Recently, the city has been under the spell of Mode 2001. Landed, a fashion festival celebrating Belgian fashion and the opening of Antwerp's first fashion center.
It's not that we want to be like another fashion capital. It's more that we had the opportunity to do something in a cultural context. I wanted to make the content also to show the other side of fashion, which is for me the side of creativity, of passion, of emotion.
Buildings were color-coded to coincide with the theme of the exhibits, enhancing the city's panoramic view.
It was the intention that people wake up in the morning and then suddenly this building is yellow.
Antwerp's fashion odyssey began when 6 designers from the city collectively showed in London during the late 80s. All graduates of Antwerp's Royal Academy Fashion School, they were dubbed the Antwerp Six.
All of a sudden there were 6 difficult names that nobody could remember and nobody heard of, and it was much easier for the press to say, yes, you know, the 6 Belgians.
Our names already were so complicated that it was easier to promote ourselves as a 6 from Antwerp.
My strength is my work, and I think if somebody wants to understand my work, I think it's much more interesting to look and to feel.
Anne de Meulemeester, one of the original Antwerp 6, forged her own path, starting in the late 80s. Known for creating strong, sensual looks with architectural precision, she broke new fashion ground for Belgian designers.
There was no such thing as a tradition in Belgium of fashion. There was just nothing, which afterwards I think is not bad, because you don't have a tradition that you have to defend. This makes me, in fact, really free. I thought, okay, I don't wait until God falls from the sky to help me. I made a little collection, I went to London, I showed it there, and immediately there was this response. If you really want something, you go for it without thinking. That's how I do it. I really live on a very spontaneous, emotional way, and that's how I started my career, but it's also how I took the decision to have a child. And everybody was saying, but if you have a child, you will never start a collection.
But she did persevere, creating successful collections and opening her own shop here in Antwerp.
I think it was for a long time that I really wanted to have my own place, you know, because I think it's important that people can come in and feel what is this collection about, what's the spirit behind it. So we bought this building, and outside it is, for me, it is Antwerp. I didn't touch, I just restored it. I wanted to prove that modern can be really warm, you know? So all the furniture was here, me and my husband, we designed it ourselves. We thought it was also important that there was some garden, you know, that there was something really human about this place. I think every collection is a reflection of what I feel and what I learned so far. It's like it's a work of a life, I think, and every collection is a step. That collection was a real step because at that time I was a bit aggressive, and also I felt very revoltive, because at that moment in fashion everybody was working on retro. And I felt, my God, for God's sakes, let's look to the future. Let's do something more with more energy. I think what was important for winter was to find this new, interesting tension. I like to play with contrasts in fabrics. I don't like to play a game from today I'm Barbie and tomorrow I'm tough, you know. It's a game. I try to be honest, like Bette Davis said, no guts, no glory. Huh? And okay, take it or leave it, but at least I'm honest with myself and I try to give what I can, and as long as I can believe in something and be enthusiastic about something, it makes me happy.
Walter van Beirendonck is not only the mastermind of the Mode 2001 events, responsible for putting the international fashion spotlight on Antwerp, he's also a talented designer in his own right. One of the Antwerp Six, he made statements with color and style in the late 80s, and does so now with his new concept store.
For me, it's important to use my work and my fashion as a kind of communication towards the outside world. I started this shop like 3 years ago, and initially I really wanted to have a space with a lot of light, because I really wanted to have a kind of a different way of thinking about clothing. So in the first impression, if you enter, you don't even feel that there are so many collections everywhere hidden. We even show like, these are like couture dresses from different designers, like second-hand pieces. The statements like Ben Banality, Rethink Beauty, Aesthetic Terrorists Unite, I Hate Copycats. The Chocolate Bear is another display of a collection. This one is from Anthony Ellison from London. So every corner has its own collection, its own designer. I mean, when I was setting up the different elements in the shop, I really wanted to have like contrast between color and material. And so we have like the wooden house, and we have the fluo furniture.
The designs of Bernard Wilhelm, a former student of Walter's, are also carried here.
We select people coming out from school, and then we try to follow them. We have now 4 students, yeah, of my students.
The young husband and wife team of A.F. van der Vorst have been showing in Paris for the last several years. But they make their home in Antwerp and work out of their space in the northern part of this port city.
Antwerp is our hometown, it's our base. We feel comfortable, we know everybody.
Everybody appreciates everybody, so that's what makes us comfortable to work here in Antwerp.
Both began at the acclaimed Royal Academy of Fine Arts in Antwerp.
When I was a child, I wanted to become a dancer, contemporary dancer, but then I had a bad back, so I couldn't. Suddenly I saw on TV a show of the Academy of Antwerp, and then I thought like, wow, this is great.
Coming there from a small city somewhere in Belgium where nothing happens. You come in Antwerp, you come in the academy, and for like there are sculptures, painters, the fashion designers.
Their design aesthetic is influenced by German artist Joseph Beuys.
He thought that the back of a human body was the most important part of a body. So that's also why we work like, for some seasons there are some orthopedic pieces in the collection. We found out when we were at school, at the academy, that we both had this sort of interest in hospital. People always come here, or friends, and whenever they find something like a small ambulance or whatever with a Red Cross, they buy it and they give it as a present.
This young couple has even designed for Italian leather house Rufo Research.
We've touched like leather, which was for us like diamonds in our hands. We can say like we worked with like the best leather there is.
The Ruffo guys, they were old friends of me from my hometown.
Anne and Philip took us to the places that inspire them most. First stop, Antwerp's underground pedestrian tunnel under the Schelde River.
We're now in front of the tunnel. It's a pedestrian tunnel and it goes under the river and it ends. You come up at the other side of the river, so there you will have a view on Antwerp.
This is where we went in. Here's the river. Here we come out. The length of 572 meters. But it's a strange idea to walk under the river.
It's nice. It's a little bit spooky.
It's a nice atmosphere, no? Yeah, it's nice. And this is our previous king, the statue of our previous king. Yeah, cruise ships are coming here. There was one last week which was really huge. I don't know what they're looking for in Antwerp.
Maybe they're looking for the many fashion exhibits like Radicals, an open-air exhibit featuring fashion images by Belgian designers.
You have Radicals, which is in fact an open-air photo exhibition, which I installed in a very unknown area in Antwerp. And in fact what I wanted to show there was like strong visions from designers through photographs.
So we had to give in 3 pictures with a radical philosophy. It had to be a strong image. That was the criteria.
Strong images also graced the AF Van de Borst catwalk for Autumn-Winter 2001.
We try to design clothes for women who have a certain sensuality inside and find it difficult to show. I think after 7 collections we can say now like there is an evolution.
We ourselves became more mature in building up a collection than the clothes itself.
For me it was like the question, what is fashion about and why are people doing things to their bodies to be part of a group or be a part of a tribe or be part of a fashion movement.
Fashion victim or victor? The historical and ethnic motives behind fashion were explored with the exhibit Mutilate, taking the observer through a series of themes, all suited to entice. From 18th century hoop skirts and corsets, to a special room dedicated to corset enthusiast Mr. Pearl, complete with Vivienne Westwood and Terry Mugler designs. Contemporary fashion also made a showing.
So it's like this confrontation between all these different people and ethnic groups and tribes and fashion movements and without even giving an answer, it's really like trying to pose a lot of questions. It's about passion, I mean passion in work and passion in fashion, and I choose there Coco Chanel and Rei Kawakubo as the 2 women who are for me expressing the most that kind of feeling.
A tale of 2 women, 2 eras in fashion, and 2 worlds collide to create the Mode 2001 exhibit entitled 2 Women. For her part, designer Rei Kawakubo showed her Comme des Garçons collection in Antwerp to fashion journalists and Belgian designers.
Walter chose Coco Chanel because she was really one of the most important designers of the 20th century. Here we're at the Chambre des Tailleurs, where you see original pieces of Chanel. And for example, the 5th one here is from the 64 collection, the blue woolen suit, and this one was worn by Chanel herself. We are at the Chambre des Bijoux, and Chanel was famous for wearing heavily jewelry with very simple clothing. So she once confided, jewelry tells you a lot about the age. I would like my age to be characterized by Chanel jewelry. And I'm sure it will be.
And I think what Chanel did in her time and what the Commerçant is doing the last decades, it's so important for how fashion was conceived afterwards, that it was like changing totally the future of fashion.
The historic windy port of Het Eilande, or Little Island, is where you'll find Antwerp's own Dries van Noten.
But the area, it's very, very nice because you have always a little bit of holiday feeling. When you look outside, it's completely something else, and also I think it's also very good contrast with fashion, because when you sail, you are really dependent of the wind, and you cannot control it yourself. You're really depending on where the wind is coming from. And in fashion, you try always to control everything and to organize yourself. So I think it's something good to be in balance. It's an old building which was made in 1900, and it's the first building completely made in concrete.
This is where one of the Belgian romantics creates his men's and women's collections.
For me, fashion was always there. So my grandfather, my father and my mother were always working with garments and fabrics. So for me, it's difficult to say how it influenced me, because I don't know anything else. Yeah, this is the pattern department. So here they try to make my designs into reality, to try and find the good shapes and the good fit and things like that. So it's a very important job. Belgian fashion most of the times is also a little bit inspired on art. So we consider fashion really as a passion. We just start from what we want to create, and afterwards we make those garments for women and men that they can wear them in the world. So it's really coming from our heart, and also that makes it a little bit more artistic, I think. And I think being a designer is always a struggle, and it's always a surprise.
For more than 10 years, the store in the heart of Antwerp's fashion district manifests Van Noten's design philosophy.
I've always been very interested in fabrics, colors, prints, and embroideries and things like that. So really the tradition and the skills in the fashion world. But menswear is always like you need a very good balance between like really the black and the navy and all the really masculine classic colors. But then of course we put in like pinks and yellows and all like the strange green colors. Honestly, which inspires me for the most are colors. It can be work of Anish Kapoor, it can be a flower, it can be a lot of different things, but it's just really color which can stimulate me a lot, and which has really like also emotional power for me. My hopes for the future is just that I still continue to like my job, and that's the most important thing, I think, for me. Because I like a lot what I'm doing, and I think you see it also in the work which I'm doing. And I think the moment that it's becoming just like a system, or when my heart is not anymore in my job, then you're gonna feel it immediately, because everything what I have to do, what I do is really straight out of my heart.
When I was a kid, I've always been like a little fashionable one.
Further down south in Belgium lives designer Olivier Thayskens. Now one of Belgium's youngest and most famous designers, he recently sat down with us at his home in Brussels.
Brussels has always been a very good city for me, because I don't know, people are nice, you have really an unstressful life, you're really in your roots. Antwerp is even very more fashionable, but here not. You really here, there is, not all that.
There is something common to Belgian designers. It's like if all these designers found the keys to not make bad collections.
Fayskin's keys? Well, he never went to Antwerp's famed Royal Academy and actually dropped out of Brussels' La Cambre Design School.
I didn't like so much the artistic because I was coming from scientific schools, and for me artistic schools was like not working, so I didn't like the atmosphere. In the beginning of the third year I decided to stop.
Fayskins went on to show his own successful collections. So what inspires him? He showed us.
This, for example, is really the body of my good for the first pieces of clothing, the prototypes, to find really the way it falls. So, it's my cherished old bust. What made this thing exist, you know, like when you see that, it's so crazy. I was drawing so much peacocks when I was little. It was really my favorite bird, my paradise bird.
From Brussels to Hollywood. In 1998, Madonna made Fayskins famous by wearing his dress to the Oscars.
A stylist of Madonna, she loved the clothing and she wanted to wear them. What I was feeling was like, okay, I'm really made for the job, finally, you know. It was just with this feeling, not like I was not crying or...
Singer Melissa Oftermar also helped ignite Fayskins' career by wearing his dark goth-inspired garments.
I'm drawing since my childhood, and my drawings have all time, like fashion I can say, evolved. It has passed through very colorful 80s clothing, and it has gone to more emotional or more dark. I like mathematics, architecture, everything. I like to make by myself sometimes pieces, papers. And so it happens that I'm also drawing of a collection very precisely. You have so much possibilities, you know. It's like when you have your body, you can make a nice band straight. You can make, I don't know, you can make something very like a shirt going down, you know. You can make a skirt that is like very short or under the knees. You can make a large one.
For fall, Fayskins transformed himself and his collection from the darker, more mysterious to the lighter and more accessible.
More women, less girly. But yeah, it was a collection interesting because I wanted to begin more to work on this glam effect. My ambitions are big, so I want to work in the future, but for myself, you know, I want to make couture one day. I would love to. Lots of things, shops,
And
perfumes and cosmetics and accessories and everything. I really love everything. It's like all the little stuff a woman can have. I'm very focused on my lifestyle. So, like every Belgian, I think. It's like you really want to have a nice life.